Hey, it is 2 o'clock p.m. on this Thursday, August 21st, 2025, and I'm calling this meeting of the
Director,
Cambria CSD.
Vice President Thomas, you need to turn on the volume.
Fine, thank you. Audio's on.
Volume up.
So, and that means you can't hear me,
I can
right?
hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, all right. I'll start over. It is 2 o'clock p.m. on this Thursday, August 21st, 2025, and I'm calling this meeting of the Cambria CSD Parks Recreation and Open Spaces Committee to order. We have a quorum. All members of the committee are present. Yeah, for the, let's see, on Zoom, we have Ms. Haley Dodson. Participants, we have staff, we have Eric Johnson, Rochelle Benjamin. From the public, we have Crosby Laura Schwartz, Harry Farmer, Julie Amade, Kitty Connolly, and Laura Schwartz. So, okay, so, and Mark Garman. There we go. I'll keep this screen open, and at the points where we need public comment, I'll be looking. And if I miss that, someone help me by calling attention, because it's on the screen. I'll take all the help I can get. Chair report. There is a lot to report. As most of you know, Jeff Wilson resigned from the Pros Committee on June 24th. Jeff's primary concern, he stated, was frustration over the lack of priority and focus on open spaces. We understand that, you know, it's a challenge. So I'll ask, yeah, this is the Pros Committee meeting.
Oh,
Are you looking for the Follies?
oh, no, I was looking for, the open space.
Oh, yeah, that's right here.
But I'm just an observer.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic. Good to have you.
I might sit straight on so I could see the screen. Thank you.
And so we have an open seat. It will be on the agenda at a board meeting soon to fill that open seat. So, you know, please do reach out to any and all that you know, in your line of sight you think would be qualified and interested to serve on this committee. So I'll appreciate all the help we can get on that. As you know, being a member down and with the summer vacations, we canceled the July 17 meeting. And it would be just a brief summary of what's gone on at the CCSD level since our June meeting. Here's a brief update at the August 14 meeting following substantial public input and discussion, especially regarding the budget for ranch maintenance. The board approved the final budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 as proposed. The board president, Deborah Scott, and Director Karen Dean will be an ad hoc committee to recommend clear scope of maintenance responsibilities for fiscal year ranch preserve. So that will be a work in progress. I see Julie's here, so I'll save the good news on the skate park for Julie for later. Also, at the August 14 meeting, President Scott announced that I have withdrawn my name for consideration as board president. And the reasoning for that was the extent of conflict and concern between FFRP and CCSD regarding ranch maintenance. You all know, you all know how deeply I care about the ranch in my volunteer role. It's a weekly thing. And also how deeply I care about doing what's right on behalf of this district. I don't want to contribute in any way to any perception that there might be some conflict of interest, given that. So, and yes, I recognize the Fair Political Practices Commission would look at that and say, well, there's no financial conflict of interest. And we all know the saying, money makes the world go round, but I don't buy it. And there are other factors that can be perceived as creating conflicts of interest. So I just, wanted to keep that a clean line. So with that, an agenda review, in fact, we have on the agenda an item to discuss the opportunities for improving the agenda itself, especially regarding the reports. Any requests to move anything on the agenda? Okay, moving on, ad hoc committee reports. No active ad hoc committees today. We do have an item on the agenda to consider forming an ad hoc regarding the potential signage on district property. So that'll be coming up. So committee member communications. Wait, I should pause. Are there any questions or comments on the on my chair report or on agenda review?
I do think it'd be beneficial to have, not today, but maybe for a future meeting. I was a little bit surprised at Jeff's resignation. That was, I gradually put it together that it may have been what it was. And as a member of this committee, it seems like we have this very fine line between the parks aspect and the open space and recreation. And I understand that when this committee was formed, if I'm understanding correctly, that the park aspect seemed to be in the lead in terms of its mission, but for a lot of us, the distinction between the open space and the park is a very thin one, and I think we maybe should have maybe a deeper conversation, especially because the three of us are new to the committee and we don't know a lot of this history, which is something I'm going to like to talk about later as well, but I just think there should be maybe a bigger discussion about exactly what our mission is as it relates to open space.
Excellent.
Can I add to that as
Yeah.
well? I think it's more the current board's definition of what we are currently, which is another thing to kind of lay in there. And then also, the general manager has made many references to the fact that one of the reasons that the facilities was in the red was because of pros and the Fiscalini Ranch. So associating us with Fiscalini Ranch, that being basically a budget, which we've never had. So when they're negotiating the budget for maintenance on Fiscalini Ranch and we don't have any input, we are not part of it at all, it seems like a disconnect. Is it us or is it not? So just to add to the discussion, how do we fit in with Fiscalini Ranch? Because apparently we don't.
Well, good future agenda discussion.
Yeah.
The board sets a strategy, and we, our role is to merely advise within that framework. But yeah, good, good area to explore. Okay, any other committee member communications updates? Then, reports from affiliated community groups, Forest Committee. We do have both Laura and Crosby Schwartz. I'm guessing, Laura, that you'll want to comment on that. Oh, okay, see the hand up.
Yeah, go.
Oh, I guess I'm up first. Okay, thank you, everybody, and good afternoon. Laura Swartz here, Cambria resident. This is the Cambria Forest Committee report, and I'm just going to read it because it's easier that way. The Cambria Forest Committee has been monitoring programs and discussing changes to our natural environment and forests. One such program is the CalVTP, which is the California Vegetation Treatment Program. This program went before the California Coastal Commission on August 13th, 2025. Very long meeting, but we stayed. Okay, this treatment program involves 88,000 acres from Monterey County line to Morro Bay. And its goal was easing regulations for vegetation treatment. And that was its goal. The California Coastal Commission staff recommended to review more carefully to reduce impacts, not ease things. The directors concurred and added 9 special conditions before passing the impending permit, which was SLT NOID 0006-25. So they're pretty much on top of it. And at this point, the California chaparral is not to be touched. So it's just an ongoing thing. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Laura. Questions for Laura, comments? Fantastic. Next up, Shelley Becker.
Yeah, hi, Shelley Becker, Dog Park. I just wanted to, let you know that we'll be at the parade supporting the community and, we, have been well kept by maintenance facilities with water and, wood chips, so we're grateful for the support.
We're grateful for you.
Thank you.
And your park.
Good to hear it. Somebody's happy.
Yay.
Thank you, Shelley.
Yeah, good.
Thank you. Green space. I don't think Corinne is on. I don't see her on the screen, and nor Keith, nor Lamb. Okay, so that's it for reports from affiliated community groups. Public comment for anything that's not on our agenda, but within the purview of pros. Anyone? Not?
Well, I have no idea what I thought I was gonna come into the big room and see what the back to
Yeah.
get some information.
Well, you're still in the back.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
The reason I came and this is the
And,
first time. coming
and
on-
your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Anita Miller.
Anita Miller, thank you.
Is to squelch some information that I've heard from people. People were asking me for some reason, because I like to know what's going on, and I'm a big friend of the ranch. I mean, not as far as doing what you guys do, but in enjoying it. But they said that it was on the news a week or so ago, that funding was cut in half from the CSD. See, I don't know who funds what, who does what exactly between pros and friends and fire. And they said it was cut in half and that they weren't gonna be able to take care of some brush and some trees because of that. I don't know. That worried me. And previous to that, I actually was at the fire station talking to them because I was involved in the fire rights for a while. And they were saying that, yes, they can't, it's not their responsibility to clear the area up at the top of the ranch. I know what they're talking. But, they were gonna make a moat. That was what they were gonna do. And that was the most they could do. I just wanna know who is in charge of those funds and how come they were cut in half and is that true? I can either tell people that's not true, or yes, it is, and here's what could be done.
Well, thank you, Anita. I'll give it a go.
Okay, thanks.
I'll give it a go. So the CCSD budget development of that is the responsibility of the general manager and Matthew McElhaney and its staff. It's approved, reviewed and approved by and at the direction of the board of directors. At the August 14 meeting, the board discussed in depth and approved the budget for the coming fiscal year as they did in prior year. The issue at hand of the available funding for ranch maintenance is the challenging issue that I was referring to just moments ago. And the way the district is structured, there's a general fund primarily funded from property taxes. And that's a fixed pie. There's only so much. And that is allocated to fire protection and facilities and resources. And within facility resources, there's responsibility for maintaining the ranch as well as this vets hall, the various open space parcels, the lights up and down Main Street, and, you know, several other things that, Mr. Geary is responsible for. So that is the Great Balancing Act, and, beyond that, it's not within the purview of this committee to set the budget. You know, that's reviewed by the finance committee and set by the board, but, hope that,
I get multiple emails from with CSD. Tons, finding more information, sometimes you skip through it. And until I heard this was on the news, and I thought, well, I'll start going through some of my
Yeah.
own ones and really trying to review. And they do put the budget out there, and they're saying they need the money to pay that staff. Well, to me, it's gotta be really very, very urgent and important. Top priority is fire. And if they don't have something to open up another bathroom, or they don't have enough to make all the little, I think all those little signages on the ranch are probably the friends and volunteer money.
that's correct.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not
Yeah.
taken from that budget. But, I'm concerned about it if it, in fact, it's true, but I don't know where to go from here.
Well, thanks. And, I would,
That's why I'm here, because I don't know who's in charge of what.
yeah, well,
A lot of committee.
well, thanks, Jen. And we'll, you know, public comment, you know, limited to 3 minutes, but I'll just, you know, in terms of, you know, where to go to understand more, to the district website, strategic plan. Every month, the general manager has a Meet the GM day. And by the way, these cookies here these are for consumption by all. You know, Director Karen Dean, you know, almost always, you know, makes a big batch. And, so today's Thursday, so Tuesday, they had the Meet the GM day, or maybe it was yesterday. So every month, there's an opportunity to come in, sit down, and just ask questions. The timeframe's not limited. It's not, you know, a recorded meeting where we have to
Right, I
limit.
was reading about
So-
your
Oh,
meeting, and I
yeah.
thought, I think I'll try to hear and maybe I'll get information.
Appreciate you coming in. So it's, and for, you know, encourage you, feel free to reach out directly. My email's on the website, and, happy to help further.
So he's the one I asked, the CSD, if the budget in fact was cut and if you can take care of the fire.
Yeah, and in that, the budget for, the line item in facilities and resources for branch maintenance, which is in what they call it, the materials and the contracting, primarily for contracting, was reduced, not this year, but last year. From what it had been. Staff also, we also added a third maintenance technician. So a lot of the work that had been contracted in prior years at significant expense is being done by staff. So it's not, you know, there's more gray, you know, it's not red or blue, it's kind of purple.
And it's been on local news.
Absolutely. Yeah, been on the news.
I'm glad to address it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. And there were also 3 written comments posted on the website from Ellie, I believe from Ellie, from Lori Parole, and Jose Luis Sanchez regarding funding for the ranch maintenance, which is the same topic you're discussing. And talking with President Scott, she advised that this is not within the purview of the pros committee, and it has been addressed by the board, so similar comment. So that brings us to reports and project updates.
It's a question,
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Crosby.
Thanks, Mark. Yes,
Yes,
Crosby and Laura.
Yeah, this is Laura again, and it's going to be very, very quick. I have a quote here, and I don't even know who said it, but it was on the internet or whatever. Crosby read it to me, and it said, "I've never seen a forest logged into health." Thank you.
Nor have we. Nor have we. Yeah, well said. Okay. Reports and updates. Let's see, who is on. So Mr. Green is on, so we have, that's unmute. So Mr. Green, do you want to talk about, the F&R, report? Has Matt or David given you something on that, or shall we just skip that?
Hi, guys, can you hear me?
We can.
Sorry, yeah, I'm having a little computer work done here in the background, so sorry, I'm a little lagging behind here. I don't have an F&R report. I wasn't prompted or having anything to present via data for this, so I apologize.
No worries. No, I assume that. No expectation. Just that I would check since you're, yeah, you're on screen, and glad you're here. On item 6A and 6B, we'll need you. So thanks so much for being here.
You bet. Thank you.
Let me go over here. Okay. FFRP, Kitty Connolly is on screen. So we've been talking about FFRP, but now's your chance for the executive director report. Thank you, Kitty.
Hi, thank you, Michael. First, let me just say that if you are interested in the condition of the ranch and how it might be affected at this point, there's an article that I wrote that came out this morning on cambriaca.org. It's also on the website of Fiscalini Ranch Preserve that reflects on that. You should know, Anita, that there is a very large grant in Cambria covering fire safety work, and in the forest, though there were certainly some maintenance issues with the fire breaks that I think have since been partially resolved, at least. There will be the Fiscalini Ranch Preserve is addressed every year for fire safety in the terms that were agreed in the management plan. The forest in the preserve is probably the most managed forest in Cambria for fire safety. It needs more, but it's really not horrible. I mean, it's not held to the same standards as a residential lot, because it is not a residential lot, it's a nature preserve. So also, a lot of these trees, a lot of this forest is not very close to houses. So one big concern that people have this year is that the grass is tall. The grass is tall because we had rain at the right time. The grass is not being treated in any way different than it has ever been treated and ever will be treated. It will fall down soon. It's just we're just not used to seeing it that tall. Reason we're used to seeing the ranch in really good shape is because we have these fantastic weeders who are out there every week, almost year round, which is, kind of startling. Huge amount of labor going out on the ranch by our volunteers. No end to the weeds. We have now monthly weekend, monthly Saturday work days. We just had one August 16th. They do fantastic work. We have a docent walk this Saturday, and I also wanted to let anyone who's interested to know that we've changed our FFRP board meetings to the third Tuesday of the month at 3 p.m. So our meetings are now the third Tuesday of the month at 3 p.m. That is to accommodate David Aguirre's schedule so he can attend those. Our attention has been quite a bit on the budget. So we're looking forward to working with the ad hoc committee. We're also very much looking forward to being in the parade, which has been so much fun these last few years. I'm sure there are other updates, but I can't think of them at the moment. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kitty. And questions?
Where's their meeting, the Fiscalini Ranch meeting? Here.
It's at the Cambria Center for the Arts Green Room, Nancy Green Room. Correct, Kitty?
Correct. And sometimes by Zoom.
Yeah.
Also sometimes by Zoom, I should say. But if my
Right.
board members are all there, I don't set up a Zoom.
Other questions? Awesome. Check on the other side. Okay. And let's move to skate park update. Julie, let me know if she's traveling. Julie, are you able to connect in? Oops.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much, and I apologize ahead for any background noise. Well, exciting news. I think I'm just going to get straight into it in regards to the skate park. I know that CCSD back on April 24th gave us a goal, and the goal was to raise $329,000 in 6 months. And of course, that 329 was to address potential contingencies in regards to getting the skate park to the next step, which would essentially be going out to RFP or bid. And I'm happy to report that we did it in 4 months. And of course, that was on public record at the last CCSD meeting. So as of early next week, we'll be final verifying all our funds and of course, working towards potentially getting on, and the keyword is potentially because that agenda is not out yet, but September 11th would be when we would be moving towards getting onto agenda and having discussion and consideration to go out to RFP and bids. So very exciting news. 5.5 years, 41 fundraisers, and over $800,000 in combination with 2 grants and of course the CCSD's commitment of 178. So big news for the skate park. Also want to thank continuously all those that have supported the project. And we have our next fundraiser coming up. It's actually a memorial skate at Napomo Skate Park. You can go on to skatecambria.com to learn more. And we're always happy to take any questions, but look for us in Pine Dorado. We're not going to be hard to see. Just look for the lime and green and the big Skate Cambria. And of course, those banners that will be held very loud and proud will be park coming soon. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. That's exciting. Yeah. And
Thank you.
questions for Julie?
If I could just say one thing, Julie, it's Gary. I just want to say how much I admire you, how hard you worked to make this happen, and how there's no amount of pats on the back and thank yous that this town can give you that can adequately say how grateful we all are.
Thank you, Gary. And we have an incredible Skate Cambria team, core parents, and again, donors, sponsors, vendors. I said it at movie night when we were out there at Camp Ocean Pines. Shout out to Camp Ocean Pines for their generosity. It has taken a village, and Cambria is a beautiful one. So we thank all of the team, everyone out there, and we're so excited to get moving forward to get this returned back to our community in a brand new infrastructure. Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Awesome. Other questions, comments? All right. And so, yeah, I can't wait. So our general manager is on the Zoom now. So let me just ask, General Manager McElhaney, would you like to give a report for facilities and resources?
I don't have a report from David because he's gone on vacation. I do know that his team's been working pretty hard and working towards getting some quotes on the Veterans Hall, some of those infrastructure repairs that have been budgeted for the new fiscal year. That includes flooring, potentially some painting. And so we're working through those processes and, trying to catch up on a lot of the maintenance needs around the district. But other than that, I don't have a formal report from him.
Thank you. Just one view from the ground. It's important. With my FFRP hat on. 2 weeks in a row, David's staff. David may be on vacation, but his staff puts the trailer right where we need it. I'm still amazed at how well they can place that thing. So again, thanks for that. I think that moves us to consent agenda. And The minutes, so any comments, minutes are in the package, any revisions needed from your perspective on the June 18th meeting? Then motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve.
Shannon, and a second. Also, thank you, Gary. Just make the rounds. Mark. Good. Aye.
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 All right. Approved unanimously, and thanks for that. Brings us to regular business, and so the first item, I'll just say some brief words, then ask General Manager McElhaney to introduce this. But this is discussion regarding installation of signage on district-owned property to help increase driver awareness of deer and other wildlife, and consideration of forming an ad hoc committee to bring recommendations. Kudos to Mrs. Seaver for bringing this to the board recently, and the general manager asked the pros committee to look at forming an ad hoc committee to be of assistance. So with that, Matt.
Thank you, Director Tom, or Vice President Thomas. So we're in the infancy phase of trying to figure out how to accomplish this. And so, as mentioned, per the board's request to bring this to pros and form that ad hoc in order to take a look at what it's going to take in coordination with working with Mr. Geary on what district properties, i.e. vacant parcels, would be advantageous for signage for, basically deer crossing, deer awareness, even signs that say slow down. So it's really getting together with David, myself, the ad hoc, and taking a look at the different parcels in the district that actually would be suitable for that. We don't have a lot of district property along Highway 1. There's other areas in the district, on, residential streets that could be used. So, sorry, 1 second. Apologize. Basically, that's what we kind of need to do as an ad hoc, is to formulate how we might approach this and just get a good grip on where these signs would be best placed. And then we got to talk a little bit about the maintenance of it. Is it a low maintenance sign? How large they're going to be? Work with district council to make sure that they don't obstruct any views in terms of traffic. So just a few things that we need to look at.
Fantastic. Well, first, questions from the committee on, because this is basically the ask from the general manager is for an ad hoc committee to work on this. In a few moments, I'm going to be asking for 2 volunteers from the committee. So the questions you might have on what is it you want us to do?
Has the district approached Caltrans about doing it along the highway?
Caltrans pretty much won't allow us to put anything on their property. That's pretty much a no-go. So we're really looking at only the purview in which we have, which is going to be our district properties.
And then how are we paying for this?
Oh, yeah. Can we may I have a brief public comment? Because I think Chris Seaver has opportunity to chime in.
Yeah, my name is Christine Seaver, and back in 2022, I got 6 deer signs in towns with Caltrans. I've been working since then to get a lower speed and a safer town for all of us. And working with Caltrans has been interesting. Yes, you cannot put any signage. Every time I put something, it's taken down. So I don't know if it's been announced or who's heard this or not, due to working on this for a long time. We did get a $400,000 grant approved through Slow Cog. Rita, Bert, and I sat at the farmers market for 4 months last year. We got 600 signatures, and those signatures spoke for the community. And Caltrans has put in, I want to say, about $356,000, and Slow Cog with John D'Annunzio is putting in the balance. That will start probably early beginning of next year. And I'm so grateful and I'm so happy because all this work has been for something. But until they do their study, and it could take a long time, in the meanwhile, I just feel that it's unfair for people in our community unaware of the habitats we have and all the wildlife we have in our community. Especially during writing season in the fall with the Christmas market with 3,000 tickets sold a night. I'm very concerned about something. I've spoken to Slowpoke and I've asked for any kind of signage along the highway. You know, we have a sign coming in saying businesses are open. So I've asked during running season, could we please have something at least letting people know, you know, the dangers they enter when they come into our community. It's just awareness, just simply awareness. So that's why I came with this after talking to Blake Fixler and length about safety and how I could accomplish this. He suggested this, and this is what I'm going with because I don't want to do anything illegal. I did get in trouble with the county for putting up deer signs on county posts. But that did lead me to a lot of support. I also want to add on my own in January, I started an online petition with change.org to lower our speeds in our residential and business areas to 25 miles an hour, which is state law. I understand some qualify or consider us to be rural residential. That means the speed limit should be 15, in my opinion. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here for just some awareness on the highway with your help to just bring awareness to people day and night that when they come into our community, they have the potential of having an interaction with wildlife. And nobody wants to bring their kids to Christmas market and hit Bambi. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks. Shannon's question was, before we go on, like, who's gonna pay for this, where's the funding, and so, did you want to comment on that from your perspective?
Yeah, my husband and I are willing to do what we can to put up those signs and make them and whatever it takes to bring that awareness in. I'm hoping, as the study goes on, that out of that will come a lot of a safer highway one for us. They are gonna look at some of the county roads, but mostly they're gonna be looking at Cambria through San Simeon for safety. And my hope is that they would lower the speed and have more awareness. At least put a solar single light on the top of the deer signs that have been put up, something.
We're really not asking for the district to provide any funds for any of this. So we're just looking for the spot to put the sign.
Right, that's what I thought, so.
So that, the 400,000 plus, that with Slowcog, that is for this, to pay for the study, correct?
To pay for the
Yeah.
study, which will in turn bring hopefully more safety to our whole
Exactly.
one area thoroughfare.
Yeah, we've done battle, I'm not pros, but personally done battle with Caltrans and even did some guerrilla signage for people crossing the street, and we got in trouble too.
Jeff Wilson went
Yeah, that was us.
special meeting yesterday. Talk about what we want up here, what I've been wanting up here also. So it's getting talked about a lot. I just wanna, say that's all. And we're willing to do what we can to do that. Yeah.
Awesome, I had hands up from Anita and from
Oh,
Tony.
yeah, so I certainly appreciate what you're talking about because I live with a deer in my yard. I watch them running across the street, but it's locals that are the worst offenders. I mean, the tourists go slow, they get out, they pull over, they're taking pictures, deers are running all over right now, families of deer, beautiful. But no one's we don't have any enforcement. It's not gonna change the way people drive, right? But what are they gonna get a ticket?
Well,
There's no.
Okay, so it's legit, public comment and I'm not- pardon me, Anita. Yeah, so what we can entertain in the committee is just a rambling
Okay, sorry.
debate.
Right, my first meeting.
So, but yeah, I understand. Thank you for that.
It's so interesting.
Tony.
Well, it's really not the responsibility of pros, but I would like to know if it could be published somewhere, what the focus. You can broadly say safety, but 400,000, what are they going to be actually studying? Because seems like an awful lot of money on something which is pretty obvious with regard to deer and the road. But I don't understand what they're spending 400,000 on.
Yeah, true. And now outside the purview of pros to figure that out. So.
It is the Slow Cog website,
Oh, it is?
the grant funding and what it's the purpose.
So, Christine's, mission is much broader than I think this ad hoc committee can contribute to. But I believe the part that this ad hoc committee can play is work with you, work with staff to see if we can get some signage up on whatever district parcels might be, you know, in everyone's view, a really good spot for signage. There are a lot of parcels where if you put the sign up, nobody's gonna see them, not useful. So I think that's part of the challenge. So, yeah, Matt.
Are there any, we all know anecdotally, because we see deer on the side of the road, are there existing statistics for the number of deer that have been killed on local roads, or is that gonna be part of the study?
That would probably be a new part of this study. A study like that was in 2022 when they put the 60 deer signs up that I asked for. And they even extended the scope that for me, leaving town, the last deer sign on the right, you see that because that habitat's right there. And before 46, we also have a sign, hopefully, but I forgot.
But yeah, shaping human behavior is a challenge.
Yeah.
We know that, but we can do so much. We can provide some precursors.
Yeah,
Some antecedents.
I don't know what the 400,000 is for everybody to have an opinion and everybody to be heard and, you know, just to go through all the, you wanna call red tape, I suppose.
Yeah.
But in Caltrans did a wildlife study back in 2022 for that area, and that's how they established the justification to put the signs up that they did.
And they do have strike zones, documented and they should be doing that when they pick the deer up on the side of the road, although that doesn't happen all the time. When they do, I think they do definitely track that and the location, and that's how they knew where to place those signs in 2022. Because we only had 2 inaccurate signs in the middle of town. All it was next year, 1.5 miles. I mean, that was not accurate at all, so. But the deer signs are helping, but I don't think it's enough.
So, any other public comment or questions? And I'm gonna bring it back to the committee. Do we have, anyone has some passion to work with Ms. Sieber and
I volunteer for that.
awesome. So we've got Matt, thank you so much. Anyone else?
I don't think I have that time right now.
I can do it.
I'll be right.
Oh, Mark, thank you. Okay, so we've got a team, and this is not something that requires a vote, but we have a ad hoc committee of Matt Jaffe and Mark Landsman. If one of you, we have a couple resources that Mr. Gary provided not long ago. This is like the Thomas Brothers map of all the CSD parcels. On the front, looks like a Thomas Brothers map, and then the page numbers. And then here is, we have one big on the wall where we can look at it. So these two, so if you'd like to take these with you, decide and hang on to these during this, this work, because that's why, Gary brought this to us for our use as needed.
Okay.
But just before you head off, we'll talk about that. Otherwise, I'll hold on to them as we need. Fantastic. Thank you. Anything else? Mr. McElhaney, did I miss anything?
No, sir. No, I think you pretty much covered it. When Mr. Geary gets back from vacation, we'll try to coordinate a time where we can kind of sit down and start doing a deep dive into this.
Fantastic. And Ms. Sieber, thank you so much. I mean, this is a contribution that everyone in Cambria is grateful for. So we love you for it. So thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I know you provide a lot of the motive force behind this. So item 6B, this is Community Park Phase 3 Planning Update. And General Manager McElhaney, would you like to introduce item 6B?
If you don't mind reading it, I don't have the agenda in front of me. I'm at a conference, so I'm doing a little bit of double duty, but I can chime in after.
Absolutely. Well, as worded, it's simply Community Park Phase 3 Planning Update. We have, as we had discussed a while back, we've included the letter from the county, June 26th letter, substantial conformance determination that you had provided to us. And I guess the fundamental questions here are, all right, well, what can be done based within the current permit? What can be done without any further permitting actions? And given of what's in the community park plan and what what we have in terms of permit status.
Yeah, I can touch base on that.
What are the next steps? Yeah.
So what this was isn't so much from a permitting perspective as much as was there going to be any amendment to the EIR? Were these park features consistent with the existing CDP for the community park plan? And so when we reached out to the county to talk about a pre-application meeting, they referred us to this document here, which is the substantial conformance documentation or determination, excuse me, to find out whether these new features would be consistent with that existing CDP. And those new features are the disc golf, cornhole, and horseshoe pits. All the other features that have been discussed in the community park plan, correct me if I'm wrong, were already in the original plan and didn't need to be amended overall. And so what the county found is that it's consistent with our conservation easement and the ranch management plan. There's no new environmental impacts. There's no new conditions of approval, that it remains consistent and it substantially conforms with that original CDP. What it did identify are some special requirements in order for to put in those new features. And some of those are, visual impact assessments to assess the visibility, excuse me, from Highway 1 and trails. The requirement of natural screening and muted materials. So we're talking about plastic chains for the disc golf. Cornhole would have to avoid sensitive habitats and any trail buffers. The use of earth tones and materials, and again, visual screening for cornhole and horseshoe pits, same thing. It's got to be included in the visual assessment and potential screening fencing if necessary. And so from here, what we need to identify, and that would be a board direction, which this will go to the board for further direction, is how far are we going to go with this? Because the cost of the visual assessments can vary depending on the scope of the project. So, a agency or a company like SWICA could do the visual assessment, but those costs could range from $5,000 to $15,000 for what you would consider a small analysis, upwards of $15,000 to $50,000. So there's financial implications for it. And then from there, we also have to think about, and working with Mr. Green, and he might be able to jump in here if I'm not saying it correctly, but then we'd have to identify whether or not we're going to move forward and identify building permits, engineering, design for some of these features. So from that standpoint, I'm basically just presenting on the fact that we did get this back. There's no impact in terms of amending the EIR. And what we'll be doing is bringing the community park plan forward to the board for direction on next steps. That's whether or not they authorize a budget adjustment to actually do engineering and design and potentially get some quotes on what the community park would take to build financially. Again, I've mentioned this before. My assumption is that there will be some form of a maintenance plan and monies, contingency monies that would need to be set aside for ongoing maintenance. Or are we going to put in one of the features, two of the features? It's basically up to the board how we move forward with this. But, you know, as we've talked about before, everybody in the Parks, Rec, and Open Space realm is looking for a piece of that pie that you were talking about, Vice President Thomas, earlier, in terms of our very lean budget. And so that's where the board and staff will have to have a discussion on, you know, how we move the things forward. I understand the community council pretty much has disc golf funded. At least that's what I've heard. And so those would be the discussions at a board level. And so I'm open for any questions, and Mr. Green, feel free to jump in if I've characterized that correctly.
No, that's accurate. I think what I'd like to jump into, like the plastic chains for the disc golf, I think the county would like to review that material before we install it. So just little things like that before we go through the installation of that. Also, under the Exhibit C, under conditions approval, from what you received there, General Manager McElhenney, back on June 26th. Some under approved development, it touches on some subjects. While we're on the topic of signage today, there under Exhibit C, again, conditions of approval, it says signage throughout the FRP to educate and inform the public regarding sensitive natural resources and restoration projects. So I know we just got a new sign installed here by the wastewater plant right on the Santa Rosa Trail. So I guess my question would be, is that signage, has that been authorized or confirmed for installation through the county? Because again, this is part of that kind of FRP and the plan. So I wouldn't want any signs to go in that would negatively impact our permitting in the future. So, and then this is also something to think about as we develop that community park master plan, that they're going to want some of that signage touching on sensitive and natural resources in there. So that'd be the only little point that I'd add to you there. Thank you.
Perfect. And we're open to any questions.
Fantastic. So what questions first from the committee?
Well, obviously, as we've presented this numerous times, the idea is to break these out into individual components, recreational components that we put in the park, as opposed to trying to create a park plan as a whole, because obviously, like you stated, we have zero budget. So anything we do would be through fundraising and grant writing. So I'm wondering what we do then to just do disc golf and the picnic area, both of which are funded. The disc golf is funded design through maintenance. The picnic area funding, we have partial funding. And so we'd have to raise the money for the rest of it. But I think nothing we're talking about is very expensive. So there's even a few of us who've already been willing to just pay. So what do we need to do just to move these two projects forward, as opposed to moving a whole community park plan forward?
I think that's a board discussion. So I think it'd be good for the pros committee, even as a individual community member, to come and make public comment at the board meeting to articulate that. I can mention, and it would be a part of my staff report, talking about that these can go in pieces. You know, there'll be a discussion about a maintenance fund, which Mr. Clark at one point, I believe, had some form of a maintenance fund, but that may have shifted over to the skate park because that project was a little more ready to move forward. So I think these will be discussions at a board level.
Also, Matt, I'll chime in too. It looks like if we're going to go ahead and install the disc golf course or the horseshoe pits, those would be the two features that would need that VIA or that visual impact assessment before.
And would it really cost $15,000 to $50,000 to have a visual impact assessment done on cornhole, horseshoes, and disc golf?
Well, I gave the range on some of a smaller project that would be a more simpler visual assessment. I'm giving just ballpark estimates, could be 5 to 15,000. If they're a little more complex, it could be 15 to 50,000. We really don't know. At some point after we have the discussion at the board level, I imagine they may or may not direct staff to seek quotes from SWICA and other environmental agencies that do those types of analysis. And then we would find out, what the potential cost of that would be.
And what trails would they be looking at the visual impact from? Because we don't see it from the highway at all. So what trails?
Yeah, it would be good to understand as I think through visual analysis, and we, those of us, most of us have walked through the East Ranch, we scratch our heads and say visual impact, and but there it is from the county, so we, I think.
Can I chime in here real quick? So the language that the county's using again in this document is prepare visual impact assessment to access course visibility from Highway 1 and adjacent trails. Very broad, not very specific. And then again, with the horseshoe pits, include a visual impact assessment and include screening or fencing if required. So again, pretty broad. I think we could do some pretty basic study on this that I'd probably suggest we RFP for. So we get a broader range of consultants in on this who would probably have a little bit more competition in pricing for the cost for this. And then I think maybe just when you get these vendors or maybe speak to one, kind of see what they think or what kind of approach we should have. Because this is, again, all kind of new for us. And honestly, I don't see much visual impact from Highway 1 on the course. So maybe that's just something that we have to prove or disprove.
Yeah, the doer in me wants to just walk out on Highway 1 and say, well, here's the pictures, but you're right. Yeah, it has to satisfy the county requirements. And so, but that does help, it's from Highway 1 and the adjacent trails, meaning from the trails through the ranch. And
Through the
well, it says adjacent
community
trails.
park?
So I would interpret adjacent trails as the trails on the West Ranch that are adjacent to Highway 1 and the trails through the East Ranch that are adjacent to Highway 1. I mean, those are the trails from which you would see this. And I think to me, the impact of seeing it is that you'd want to go play, but that may be a bit biased, but.
Is there any plan for fencing? Is there any fencing in that at all?
No.
Okay, so that shouldn't be an easy one to.
Yeah.
I would imagine that's not gonna be a stumbling block then.
I would hope.
So I want to be super clear on the next step so I can prepare anything. What do we need to do?
Yeah, it sounds like.
From a pros committee level, there's not a lot to do other than to receive this presentation, and then we're going to go to the board, which has already been agendized, to get guidance from the board on the next steps. So do they adopt the community park plan? Do they say right now financially, the district isn't prepared to spend these monies? Yes, we want to spend these monies. Let's have a broader conversation with the Cambria Community Council, who has funding for disc golf. Do we have broader discussions about what will maintenance look like? What will the average cost be per year? I do know there's some pretty fiscally, how do I put it? Fiscally minded board members that are going to want to know details about, how it's going to be maintained, what it's going to cost, what is it going to be in staff time, things like that. So those are discussions that'll probably be had at the board level, and they'll give us guidance on the next steps, which maybe come back to us in another board meeting with some of those assessments.
Fantastic. Is that likely on the September 11 board meeting?
I believe it's on the September agenda. I believe it is.
So at a minimum, let's if you have that date open now, please, put that on your calendar. September 11, it would be good to have members of the committee listening and available to ask questions. And of course, whether it's the September 11 agenda depends on, I'm sure, many factors. And if it isn't, then we'll stay tuned, but that'd be really helpful. So
What time is that, Gordon?
that starts at 10 a.m. What we don't know is when each item comes up on the agenda. I can be a helpful steward with text message to communicate, progress and things of that nature.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. But, prepare questions, and we'll ask on your behalf. Fantastic. Are there other questions from community? Yeah, okay, yeah, Matt.
I was curious, did the dog park require this level of visual impacts or, I mean, not that I think there are any visual impacts of the dog park, but I mean.
I don't know. I'm in the here we are mode.
I would have been sound abatement, noise,
Right.
maybe that study on that.
That would make more sense.
Here we are. We have the county planning, the county planning staff that we have. They've given us the ask. Their ask isn't over the top, but it is what it is. And so, did they do it last time? Part of me wants to say I don't need to know that, it's useful to know, and we can dig that up. If it's useful.
It
And
was
Michael,
a casual
the
question.
item
It's-
is 6D on the 9/11 agenda.
Fantastic.
9.
Yes, yeah, it's not a propitious date. Okay, I think that brings us to anything else on this? Either, Mr. Green or Ms. McElhaney, anything else you need from the committee? I think, because we've presented the plan, have the plan, and so, this will be coming to the board, September 11, tentatively, and, we'll hear what the direction is from the directors. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, and thanks for being here. That was important. So, topic 6C. Where this came from, I discussed ideas regarding the effectiveness of the agendas and the reports. Someone pointed out that, I guess someone mentioned, yeah, you spend a fair bit of time on the reports from affiliated community groups, and then on the reports and project updates. And I thought, well, and there was some comment about the the utility of that. So I thought, well, let's see. I went back through our last 15 meetings or so, and what reports did we get? So give me a moment. I will put that on screen. Share. Share. So go back, and when we started this item 2, reports from affiliated community groups, it was the idea of, from discussion of the pros committee at the time, thinking, well, anyone who might have any impact on our ability to bring parks and recreation, open space opportunities to the community, and vice versa. Any organizations where we might impact them, let's put them on the agenda for discussion at each of the meetings. So if you look back, Friends of the Fiscal Ranch Preserve, reported essentially every meeting. Likewise for Cambria.
But those are both functions, kind of,
Absolutely, and in fact, beginning with the July meeting last year, they went into the topic three, and yeah, they're directly connected. They are truly inside the CCSD fence. County Parks and Rec, when we added them to the County Parks and Recreation Commission. We added them to the agenda a little over a year ago, and we haven't had any comments from them. At the January meeting, Commissioner Roach tried to zoom in, but we couldn't hear. Went through Beautify Cambria, we haven't heard much from, except for one meeting. Forest Committee, we hear from, almost every meeting from the Schwartzes. Ms. Becker, comments, brings a report frequently, likewise Green Space. Lambton Cliffs, Suzanne Fiedler comes, 4 meetings she's come in with a report. The Slow Land Conservancy, we haven't heard from here at this meeting. They connect through other channels. And likewise with the Rancho Marino, Keith Seidel, the executive director, connects in through other channels, especially through Green Space, Forest Committee, but they haven't viewed this as a channel through which to communicate. And frankly, yeah, in terms of we're looking for open space recreation opportunities, we're not going to go hiking through Rancho Moreno. It's just not going to happen. And likewise, so I just brought this and with a what do y'all think? Should we change the way we structure the agenda? Should we take these off the agenda, those that we never hear from anyway? I do feel a bit foolish each time looking through this and saying, well, okay, yeah, Claudia's not here, Ron's not here, Keith's not here,
So just to provide some backstory for why we did that, we did it a couple of years ago before you joined the board. Because we had, PROS had a lot of obstacles in our way and been unable to provide any input on open space and not really get anywhere with recreation. And so what we have in our town is a bunch of 501c3s providing recreation and open space for our community. Well, 501c3 is not responsible to the public and doesn't have a lot of visibility as far as the public is concerned. So the idea was for them to report here in a more public setting so that the public could decide to volunteer for them, provide input on something, like have a little bit more transparency and visibility into what was happening. And so obviously that's not taking off some report or hardly any report. I would definitely say that Shelley and the dog park need to be brought into with the Skate Cambria and the Fiscalini Ranch because we share space with the dog park on our community park.
So Shannon, can I ask you a question? Is the purpose of them reporting here just to get it, to give them a voice to the public?
Well, no,
Or is
to
it
give the transparency that the public can hear what they're doing.
So it's not necessarily to report to us as a committee because we have no authority over them. So this is just a mouthpiece for them
Right.
to say, to put their information out to the public.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously it didn't take off and we can abandon it if everyone wants to. I still feel passionately that because we are always so stymied in everything we do, that at least we can be a voice and provide transparency for all the 501c3s in our town.
And
if it doesn't happen.
And do you think that and I don't mean to speak about anybody here in the third person, but just for the sake of this conversation, do they understand that? That they don't report to us in any way, that this is just giving them the ability to speak to the public?
Yeah, it was when I reached out to each one of the individual groups, it was with that. It's your opportunity just to communicate what's going on in your world, events you're having, if you need volunteers, and it also provide transparency into what you're doing for the community so that people of the community can hear it in a more public forum.
Yeah, and as a community member, I love hearing this. I love hearing what they have to say, but I like hearing it as a community member I'm not, as a board, or as a person, as part of this board, I don't know what I do. I don't know what I do with that information, right? Other than the fact that I live in town and I like to hear what's going on in town. So maybe that's what everybody.
But I mean,
is
Green
listening.
Space is a perfect example. Right now, they have a huge project going on in Strawberry Canyon. It's been weeks long. You can't go walking through there. So that would be an example of something that they can report out in this forum, and it goes out, because we're recording the session, goes out broadly to the community, that people can get an update of what's happening in Strawberry Canyon. I mean, that to me seems
Yeah.
very valuable.
It's better, and I don't know how many people actually watch this recording and get their information from the pros committee recordings, but it's better than nothing. And I don't dislike it. I like hearing, like I said, I like hearing the stuff. And it doesn't take any more time for us. We're here for 2 hours, so fill that 2 hours any way we want to. I just want to make sure that everybody understands, because I didn't understand when I first started here why we were hearing.
It was just a
all this
legacy
reports
item that.
and what we were supposed to do with that. I didn't know what I was supposed to do with that information, I guess is my, so now I understand. It's not really meant for me, it's meant for the community.
Yeah, and good, good questions. And Shelley put your hand up and, it looked like, did we hit it right? What are your thoughts? Yeah.
The dog park is also a collaborative effort for us to reach out and say, we got $50,000, we'd like to start putting in gazebos and stuff. You guys on board? How do we implement that?
Yeah,
So it's really a two-way street, I think.
and the dog park is kind of a part of the whole big.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Space anyway, so I totally understand why that element is represented.
And I think it's a great way to get us involved.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for the information. I just wanted to get clarity on it, because I feel like that's what I'm struggling with. Like you said, we're relatively new here, and I just want to make sure that I understand what this committee is really here for. And what all the various parts are being represented as.
We could maintain an open slot for community 501c3s that address recreation and open space to alert us to anything they want to, and if no one is here, then we don't have to list them or anything.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I followed you on that.
So right now, we list each one of the community 501c3s that are going to do a report. So if we just have a bullet item saying, community open space, recreation open space, community 501c3s can report during this.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
That would be simplified a bit. And they know who they are. We know they are. Okay, and to your point, your point was that Friends of the Cambria Dog Park should be under what's item 4, reports and updates. You got FFRP, skate park. I mean, the dog park is part of community park, so that makes sense to move that. Okay.
But even FFRP, I mean, they wouldn't really, they give us information. And again, just to reiterate, we don't do anything with it. We just listen to it like any other community members. Yeah.
But that, to our point earlier, how does that fit in with pros? Because skate park and FFRP are part of pros, and the general manager has stated many times that, pros budget relating to FFRP, but we don't have any input with FFRP, nor do we have a budget, so.
So I just stopped sharing because I had a feeling that we might have a hand up from the Schwartzes and from Ms. Connolly. So, the Schwartzes,
Good afternoon again. I wasn't going to say anything, but on this one, I want to thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to relay some information that we talk about in our forest committee. I mean, the forest is part of Cambria. And the thing is, there's numerous people on the forest committee, and then I always ask them if they have any comments that they want me to pass on to you. And sometimes we get comments, and sometimes, I think of them, but it's nice to have a place to say something that's elevated just a little bit more than 3 minutes at the CCSD. I feel like people are hearing it a little bit more intimately. So thank you for the opportunity of letting us report what we think is important occasionally.
fantastic. Thank you. And Ms. Connolly?
Yeah, So I see this as an opportunity to report to pros, not to report to the public, because we report directly to the public largely through our website and through Cambria CA, which I think gets, no offense to CCSD committee meetings, but I think it gets a lot bigger audience. But you know, when things like the boardwalk were coming up, we took it to pros before we took it to the CCSD board. I mean, there are issues that are major enough that I think pros should at very least be aware of them. So for me, this is an avenue to communicate with pros, not a public outlet.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question? So when you do report to pros, what are you just because I just want clarification on it, what are you hoping for from pros? What do you hope the outcome is going to be from us before you go to the CCSD board?
That if there are any big questions about things, that the pros will bring them up. It's actually really good practice for, like, what about this? What about that? You know, these are people who think about these things. So for me, it's you know, it's not like we haven't thought about things, but we can't think of everything. So it's a great sounding board. And on rare, pros generally has not taken any action on anything that I've brought to pros, which is okay. Because CCSD decides the purview of the pros board. So I know that you all have interests that are beyond what CCSD's limited purview for the committee is. And basically, I'm just kind of taking advantage of your expertise.
Okay, that helps me to understand it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good discussion, and yeah, there's no, expectation that we vote on anything or make a motion, but I wanted to get input on this, reflections on the agenda. And if you look at the bylaws, it looks like, well, the chair and vice chair organize the agenda. So Shannon and I put the agenda together, so we'll, we've heard a lot of good input, and we'll talk and we'll figure out the next steps. So any other input before we wrap this topic up?
Yeah, I mean, I think the community reports are incredibly important. Both as a member of the public and as a member of the committee. I mean, there are all these, in some ways, very narrowly focused aspects of the community, but all of us are kind of linked together by certain values and the importance of parks, recreation, and open space. And I think anything that fosters a sense of community, even granted, one particular entity might run into funding issues relative to another one, but it's really important to kind of try to think in a more unified way about the community. It's very small. And again, sometimes these distinctions seem to be defined very sharply and in a way that doesn't reflect the reality of what the community is. So I think this is one way that things feel more like a whole.
Yeah, appreciate the integration perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, okay. And I'll close discussion on this. Brings us to future agenda items. Earlier we heard, some, question regarding, the priorities, mission with respect to open spaces. I'll go back and listen to that a little further, figure out what we would bring on that. Obviously, following the September 11th discussion at the board, we are going to talk about community park plan again. And we'll beyond that, anything else? Then that being the end of the agenda, I guess the next step is to simply say it's 3:19 p.m. and this meeting of the pros committee is adjourned. Thank you.